The SEC did something that they have never done before, which is pretty darn wild to say. That haven't happened? Let's get the squad together and talk about it.
You're talking ball with the SEC squad. From Alabama to Tennessee, from Georgia to Oklahoma, from Auburn to Texas, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming SEC weekend. It's the SEC squad, and we have a seat for you. Hurt feelings and thin skin are prohibited. Squad up, you're part of the SEC squad.
Part of the SEC squad. Thank you all for joining us. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite beverage or your favorite breakfast, and join us for another overreaction reaction round table. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. They are going to take care of you. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and that bet wins. You'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So make sure you download the app today. We've got Brandon from Locked On Gators joining us, Steven from Locked On Ole Miss, Luke from Locked On Bama, as well as John Miller from Locked On Mizzou. And I'm actually surprised others haven't joined us, but I can understand why. And I am Jay Smith, Locked On Sooners. So I opened it up with this. The SEC did something on Saturday that they've never done before. I know a lot of people are wondering what the heck could they have possibly done that they've never done before. Well, on Saturday, there were 8 conference games played in a single day for the first time ever, and it won't happen again this season, which is even more wild in my personal opinion. Big games went down. We had some great action. I think I want to lead off with the one that was a little bit earlier and work our way to the later ones. First and foremost, we've got to talk about this Ole Miss Georgia game. Steven, I'm going to let you lead us off on how you feel. Georgia pulls it off 43-35. It was a very offensive heavy game, to be absolutely honest, that I did not expect. Talk to us.
It's one of those things that Lane was absolutely in his bag for 3 quarters, but the defense was just absolutely atrocious. They could not get off the field at all. And if you're a baseball fan at all, whenever you start aiming the ball like Trinidad Chambliss had to do with the pressure, it's like we have to score a touchdown in this possession or we're going to get beat. You're going to start aiming. You're going to start becoming more inaccurate, and that kind of did in the offense. Trinidad had a fantastic game. I think we saw the stat during the Ole Miss Georgia game. It's like the attendance of this game is bigger than he's played at all his games in Ferris State or something like that. And he handled it just amazingly. And offensively, they were just rolling. But defensively, man, I thought this drop 8 thing that they did against the LSU Tigers was a fad for a team that couldn't run the football. I talked about on my show all week long that the way to beat Georgia Bulldogs by stopping the run. If you stop the run, you can beat Georgia. And Ole Miss not only didn't stop the run, it's like they didn't even try. And Gunnar Stockton was amazing, and Georgia has athletes all over the field. And in the fourth quarter, Georgia was able to pull away after Ole Miss wore down a little bit after Ole Miss's offense failed to get a first down a couple of times, and Georgia outscored Ole Miss 17-0 and won the game. Now I say all of that to say this: losing by 1 score on the road in Athens, Georgia, that doesn't affect your season at all. Everybody predicted that as an L before Ole Miss walked into that game. The important thing is do not let that Georgia loss affect you in Norman, because you're going to face a good team, a very talented team, but a different type of team that doesn't do the same things that Georgia does. Georgia was a horrible matchup for Ole Miss in this game. Ole Miss almost overcame it, but they couldn't quite do it. Now the important thing is try and go get that game in Norman and see what happens.
Yeah, it kind of felt like the consistency for Gunnar Stockton going 26 for 31 in that game was not – it felt like he had an out-of-body experience. Not to say that he's even bad at that at all. It just didn't feel like something I would have expected from Gunnar. But he played a good game. And like you said, Georgia was able to establish some run, and it didn't feel like Ole Miss was I guess, ready for it. Kind of weird to say. But, all right, squad, pass it around. What you guys think?
I thought Trinidad Chambliss did play well, but I'll say this: I was not used to seeing so many open receivers on that end against that Georgia defense. They've got some real problems in that secondary. That's something that really stood out to me for the Bulldogs. They're still a good team, but not the type of defense that we've seen at Kirby Smart's best. That's for sure. A long way from that.
Luke?
Oh, I guess it's my turn. I'll take it. Yeah. I think that look, I loved the way Ole Miss fought. I really did. I thought the game was a lot of fun to watch. I didn't get to see quite as much as I wanted to because I was at the Alabama game. But I'll say this: Lane has done a great job of getting Ole Miss to this point, and I think he can take them even further. I mean, there may be some people that think that Lane can't get them over the hump or whatever, but I'll say this. You see the progression of Ole Miss not being very good, then getting a little better, then somebody you really hate to play, then they beat Georgia last year at home, and now they get to this game, and they have Georgia beaten for 3 quarters. Now Lane Kiffin has some motivation like, guys, we got to have our own fourth quarter program. We need one more quarter to be elite. That's all we lack. And I think Ole Miss can get there. If I'm an Ole Miss fan, yes, of course, you always want to win them all. But I'm with Steven here. I mean, this isn't going to affect your playoff one way or the other. I mean, the chances are you were going to drop this game or Oklahoma. And now, you don't want to drop Oklahoma for sure. But I think you can even drop it if it's close and still have a great shot at the playoffs. So, in fact, I think Ole Miss is going to beat Oklahoma. So, I'm impressed. I think they're 1 quarter short right now. And if you're just 1 quarter short against Georgia, you're in an elite crowd.
At Georgia, too.
At Georgia.
If you're 1 quarter short at Georgia, that's important. And yeah, I think most people expected this to be a loss for Ole Miss. I think going into Athens, incredibly difficult to do and walk away with that with a victory. I don't think anybody really expected Ole Miss to go undefeated at all, right? And I feel like even if a team does go 12-0, you're like, oh, they're going to screw up at some point and slip up at some point. But Ole Miss, you got Georgia on the road, lost that one. Oklahoma coming up. In theory, you could lose that game and still really have a legitimate shot at the college football playoff if you just win the rest, which I know, the Citadel is coming up, and that's going to be an absolute gauntlet there. But
tough.
In theory, yeah, it's tough. They gave Alabama a game for a half, like 6 years ago, something like that. But I do think that with Ole Miss, you can lose Georgia, Oklahoma, and still have a very real shot at the college football playoff. But Luke, you actually mentioned, Lane Kiffin has done this with Ole Miss. I know a place where his ceiling would be even higher. I just want to throw that one out there. Hopefully I won't be here for the full show so I can talk about that, but I know a place where he can do that.
Very interesting take on that one. Okay, let's jump over to the next game. And Luke, I'm gonna pause you because I know that you're not gonna be able to be here the entire time, but I got to talk about this game first because I need all of y'all opinion on this. LSU Vandy. Is the SEC trying to run its way through Vanderbilt? Like, is it going through Nashville? Like, what is this? 31-24. Diego Pavia looked really good for the most part. And just Vanderbilt they looked consistent. They looked disciplined, and they looked like they were there to win the game. There was some busted plays, there's some big plays and stuff. So there was fun, and there were action that went into this game as well. But overall, it felt like Vanderbilt said, "Nah, we gonna win this game," and LSU was like, "Okay, we'll let you." I got to get y'all's thoughts on this because this is amazing to see that Diego Pavia with over 226 yards of total offense carried Vanderbilt to a win when LSU knew that was what was going to happen.
Let me start with that because Diego Pavia's 220 yards of total offense is somebody else's 350 to 375 because the way they manage the clock, the way they sort of lull you to sleep, they just sort of body blow you to death. And that's a good team. I told people after the Alabama game, there were some folks thinking I was just giving Vanderbilt lip service, that they're good. They're strong. They've got some players. No, they're not the most talented, but that Clark Lee's got them believing, and belief is a powerful drug. And they felt like they went in that game thinking, why would we not be favored? I mean, that's the way they went in there. It wasn't like, I can't believe we're favored. Oh my God, so awesome. They were like, no, we should be favored by 7, not 2.5. And they just went in there and took care of business. LSU just doesn't have that edge. LSU in the past has certainly had it and done well with it. They just don't have it this year. And I think it's going to probably rear its head again next week when A&M goes in there and beats them.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is once LSU gets that third loss, because that's the magic number, right? They kind of go on quit watch at that point. They spent $20 million on that roster. They were going to win the SEC, win the national title. And now you have A&M. You still have Alabama on the schedule. You go to Norman. There's a legit chance that they are just a later developing FSU from last year in this season because they are not putting it together. They can't do it. In this game, it wasn't the offense's fault. Everybody's going to be on the offense. It wasn't the offense's fault. That defense got taken apart, and to leave a quarterback draw open on a third and long at the end of the game, you didn't cover that with Diego Pavia? Really? And it's one of those things that something is wrong at LSU.
Steven, you must have been reading my tweets because I tweeted out that exact same thing when that happened. I said, really, Blake Baker? Really? And I say Blake Baker because he's the former Missouri defensive coordinator, left for LSU a couple years ago. Hey, his dream job, he's making $2.5 million. Good for him. Unfortunately, one of his weaknesses kind of reared its ugly head. When you've got a running quarterback, well, he tends to not adjust to it in any way whatsoever and just tends to do his Blake Baker pressure for better or for worse. And Diego Pavia is a good runner, but he's not exactly Lamar Jackson. I mean, to let him rush for basically 100 yards in this game adjusted for sacks, that's embarrassing, honestly. Like, LSU is supposed to have this great defense. It didn't show up. I'd put a lot of it on Blake Baker in that game.
Can we blame Lane Kiffin for this one, though? His daughter putting the voodoo on the Weeks boy to where he couldn't play in this game, too. I know that's always, of course, the running joke, but at the same
definitely the Sooners' Jim Ross, the legendary WWE announcer, would agree with you. That Jezebel, she did it. She put she put the spell on Whit Weeks.
Well, something's going on. Yeah, he got caught on camera throwing up during the game and back-to-back weeks that he was playing in.
Managed to catch the mouth guard while vomiting. That was pretty impressive athleticism.
It actually was impressive. I've never seen anybody
do awareness. That's good mouth guard awareness.
It really is.
Like, how do you even figure that out in between the vomit and where the mouthpiece? Like, how do you determine which is which? Like,
I don't want to know.
Actually, Brandon, I think you're right. I don't want to.
Hey, I'll tell you that. I'm mad you even asked that question.
No, that's a gamble I'm not taking personally. Like, I'm just not doing it.
I'm just going to let the mouth guard hit the ground and be without one for a play. Let's take the chance.
Yeah, especially if you can't even spray it clean before you get to the next one. But no, I'm just okay. So in this case, should Brian Kelly be on the hot seat? Now, again, this isn't our grandma or grandpa's Vanderbilt. This team is actually a very solid built, very good, disciplined team. So it's not like we can typically, back on you, be like, haha, you lost to Vanderbilt. You can't say that this year. Could barely say it last year. Last year, you started to see a glimmer of it. You're like, okay, this could be a team that's going to be a problem going down. But this year, no, they are a problem. They're probably going to finish. They have a chance to finish top 10, especially if they go beat Texas, which I think they actually play them at home. They got Missouri this week, and game day's pulling up.
They got Texas on the road. They got Texas.
Oh, Texas on the road. So okay, so they do travel. Now, I guess the question on that's going to be is, how far do you think Vanderbilt can go? Like, what is their actual ceiling in this? And also, is Brian Kelly's seat getting warmer? Like, should his seat be warm now?
Yeah. How do you say? How do you say family in Central Pennsylvania?
Family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, look. I don't know if his seat is hot or not. I think it's going to be one of those things like James Franklin, where it wasn't necessarily the hot seat. I think the relationship is just played out. And, Brian Kelly's only been to one SEC championship game, and he lost it pretty handily to a great Georgia team, no doubt. But that year they wouldn't even gone if they hadn't made a remarkable catch for a 2-point conversion against Alabama. And give him credit for getting it. I'm just saying they really haven't been that much of a threat since then. And they've had the talent. They got the dudes. I mean, we all talked about Nick Anderson and Barry and Brown, and they got some fantastic players. Harlem Berry's a good dude, but it's just not working out. And they happen to play Vanderbilt at a time when they have the best Vanderbilt team we've just about ever seen. And it's a problem. By the way, when that Vandy Texas game hits, I went, how many stories are there going to be about what if these two teams swapped quarterbacks?
Ooh.
Nobody thinks that's just fantastic. I can't wait for that. What are y'all talking about?
Yeah, no, 100%, because that is wow.
Yeah.
Because how good would Texas be undefeated with Diego Pavia?
Absolutely.
I agree.
He's just because not only with his awareness, the dude he will put everything on his back, and he's going to make sure he's going to fight tooth and nail. And if you add the talent around him, which is a step up, if we were being truth be told, especially if you're going by rankings and stuff and just overall watching them play, that would be a step up. And yeah, Diego would be hell if he was down there. Glad he's not in Austin, because that would be hell for all of us, and I don't want that. I actually enjoy them struggling against Kentucky, which we'll talk about that at the end, because that's of course one that we get to laugh at. Luke, we're going to talk about your boys. 37-20 win over Tennessee. That, my friend, is a game that put a smile on all of our faces. Let's go jump into that. But of course, we've got to, pay bills around here on our beautiful Sunday reaction show. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and they'll get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet. Put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. All the spreads are starting to fly in for this coming weekend's game, and it looks like it's going to be a very action-packed SEC weekend once again. And so I like jumping into that because I can get into the action, get a few bets in here or there, and, makes the games a little bit more exciting. So whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us here on the Squad Edition, our usual Sunday reaction show. Luke, we're going to jump into your squad. I want you to talk to us. Alabama, Tennessee, 37-20. It was fun, not going to lie, until that pick six happened, and I was like, oh, it's over.
It's done. One of the great reactions of all time from that OC or whoever that coach was for Tennessee.
He's just like, it's like Pikachu meme.
Well, he was like, yeah, he did look like a Pikachu meme, and it was almost like, oh my God, I didn't think that could happen. He was like, I didn't think about that aspect.
Right.
But I mean, what else were they going to do? And I'm not trying to shortchange Xavier Brown, who read the quarterback extremely well. I'm not trying to shortchange the defense. They played that very, very well. But I mean, you're going to do play action. See, if you just do that without the play action, you might have enough time to make it happen without that kind of reaction. But the play action hesitated enough for you to let the defense sort of catch up and see what's going on, because we knew you weren't handing off. You had no timeouts. So you had to throw the ball. And it was just a bad play all the way around. And I just don't think Tennessee thought it through. But again, kudos to Xavier Brown for reading the quarterback's eyes. And the defense, which can be maligned at times, even by me, they have really stepped it up. They held Tennessee to their fewest points of the year. I think they've held every team the last several weeks to their fewest point total of the year. So they have given up some big scores. I mean, they gave up an opening drive touchdown to Missouri. They gave up an opening drive touchdown to Florida State. They gave up an opening drive touchdown to Vanderbilt. But, they tend to just start buckling down. And I think people are discounting the injuries they've had, but they're beginning to let some of these young guys come in and play. Justin Hill, true freshman, did some good things. Shoot, Yanzi Pierre is becoming that dude we all thought he was going to be. He is a man. He had 3 sacks. I guess, I don't know if you essentially sack a dude, but he throws an intentional grounding in the end zone. Does that count as a sack? I never understood. It should, but he caused the safety. So that would be his 3rd sack.
Yeah.
It should count as one. Tennessee is a really good team too. They've got some incredible wide receivers. Aguilar's a good player. They're gonna, they got a shot to go 10-2, but I'm not sure that's going to be enough to get them in the playoffs. Assuming everything else holds serve for the most part. But Ty Simpson, to me, even though it wasn't his best night, he still had some really great moments. Ryan Williams. Let me tell you what was great about Ryan Williams. it seems like all the Ryan Williams games have been either he's like, okay, that's the best player on the field, or what in the heck's wrong with Ryan Williams? Every game has been like this. This game, he was a crucial part without being the man. And I think that is fantastic because that's what I think everybody would rather him be. Be consistent and then occasionally have that great game. You know, this up and down stuff we can't deal with. I thought there was I'll tell you, if y'all watched the game, did y'all think when they called that Ty Simpson forward pass, they called it a fumble, and then a Tennessee player batted it back towards the end zone? I thought that was, I didn't think you could do that. But secondly, was that a fumble? Am I wrong? That wasn't a fumble, right?
I'm not sure. I didn't see the play. Okay.
I'm
not sure.
Just agree with me. Johnny, if you didn't see it, just we stick together here.
Then you're right, darn it. What a brilliant
You know, you're so right, Luke.
I agree with you 100%. We're going to go ahead and ride with that. No, okay, Roundtable, how did y'all feel about the game? Those that got to see it, what did you see? What jumped out? Because to me, I was surprised that it was such an offensive battle, even though we saw that with Alabama and Georgia. He's like, okay, you should have expected this the second time. I kind of thought that both quarterbacks I thought it would have been more conservative. But both of them went out there slinging it. I was actually impressed that they didn't have any fear. They're just like, we're going to throw the ball. Chunk it. Let's go. It was fun. It was a fun game. It was a very fun game to watch. Like I said, until that pick six happened. And then when that pick six happened, I was like, oh, yeah, this game is over.
Stop saying that was when it stopped being fun, because that was the most fun about it. Right?
Fair.
That was the most fun. If you were hate watching that game, that was the most fun about it.
True. That is very true.
It was great to see Tennessee get knocked down a little bit. I feel like they got really, really big in their bridges, and they're too big for their britches with their whole we got Aguilar and he's outperforming expectations, scoring a bunch against everybody, and then to watch them get pretty clamped. Like, considering that they'd scored 34 plus in every game, to watch them score just 20 with some of the Tennessee mistakes that they make, it was really fun to watch as someone that absolutely despises that program. So thank you, Luke. I very much appreciate that.
Just the natural hate came out.
Yeah, Tennessee kind of followed the script that they normally follow whenever they go down to Tuscaloosa. They seem to be chippy. They seem to be up for it. Then they do something silly, and it all kind of falls apart. So until they go down to Tuscaloosa and they don't do that, you have to assume that they will, because they seem to do it every time they go down there.
He did wear his black hoodie. Also, I think we just found a new tagline for Rougiette. They got big in their britches. I think that is the new tagline for Rougiette Go Long.
I'm going to use that. Rougiette Go Long. I'm going to definitely say they get big in their britches.
By the way, I had to do the Rougiette live read Friday, and we had a guest picker named Courtney McKinney, who's sort of Twitter famous Alabama fan. Doing the Rougiette Go Long live read with a female right there watching your every move.
It's tough.
Is both
kind of painful,
difficult, it's embarrassing, and a little sexy.
Oh my God.
Actually, I do think it does add some sexiness.
I was hoping you weren't.
I know. Once he said both, I was like,
please don't say it. Please don't say it.
He's gonna say it, and he said it. He 100% said it.
He said it. Oh my God.
He said it. He said it. So,
folks, we're live.
Somebody just said Tennessee will beat Florida in Gainesville. Until Tennessee wins in Gainesville, I'm not going to believe it's going to happen.
Me either. I don't. And speaking of Gainesville, I think we should go ahead.
The right form of wheel and well, like Tennessee, we will beat Florida in Gainesville. Learn how to spell, loser. Bell to ass.
Well, speaking of which, let's jump right into that game. Actually, I want to talk about the Florida Mississippi State as Brandon is kind of on watch. I just saw an article dropped by On3 this morning that there are a list of coaches that they believe that internal conversations are beginning to happen, and that includes Florida. But Florida won the game, 23-21. Jeff Lebby appears to be slowly getting Mississippi State to be a functional organization. I mean, only giving up 23 points is not that bad of a deal for them, and they scored 21. I mean, they lose the game in a way that only Mississippi State would lose the game. So going down slinging it, they're going down slinging it no matter what. But Blake Shapen was playing the wide receivers that Lebby had recruited also when he was at Oklahoma. He got both of them back at Mississippi State, and 100 yards for both of them in this game. They were balling. Like, I got to say, 4-3 Mississippi State feels a little bit more dangerous than people, give props to. But Brandon, how did Florida win this game? And what do you think is going to be the outcome from it?
Jeff Lebby hasn't won an SEC game yet, so we'll still see that. And I know that you could be like, oh yeah, Florida had 23 points. The defense played well for Mississippi State. I would just like to point out a fact that we have there. 23 points is the second highest point total for Florida against an FBS opponent this year. This offense has been awful. And so that's that. But this was simply I don't know if Billy was trying to get fired, which I think is happening regardless. But 3rd and 1, game on the line, you get a first down, you got a running back averaging 7 yards a pop, and instead you tried to roll out with DJ Lagway, who just 4 days earlier you said, hey, it's really tough to run our offense when our quarterback can't move like that. So really interesting decision. DJ Lagway ended up taking a sack. Billy Napier justified the decision by saying, hey, we converted a 3rd and 1 on that play earlier. Well, you ran it already in that same situation. I would think that they might be expecting it in that moment. And then Mekhi Boyero, Florida Gators nose tackle with a pick on Blake Shapen to seal the game. You love to see it, but it's embarrassing to say that the Florida Gators have a head coach that got bailed out in a game in which they won because our nose tackle dropping in coverage got the pick there. Embarrassing to see. This was Billy Napier doing every Billy Napierism he possibly could. We had a 12-man on the field penalty. We had misused timeouts to avoid delay of games still in year 4 at home. Interesting to see how many times that happens. But that's what Billy does, and that's one of the reasons that he should no longer be the head coach at the University of Florida. Waiting for the call. Pete Thamel, please, buddy. Please, just
he's just begging him out of his misery.
Please, just press send on the tweet.
Just get it, put him out of his misery or whatnot.
I was gonna say, he's got that tweet in the drafts for sure. He
really does. He has to.
From last year, he just every week he just updates the record, and that's it. That's all he does.
That's what he does.
That thing saved.
You got to give that nose credit, though. That was one hell of a catch by the guy. I mean, my goodness, what a dream. That's probably the second time he's dropped into coverage in his football life, and he seals the game with a pick. Well, good for you. That's all I can say there.
Mekhi Boyero is a dude.
That's a heck of a play, man.
And I think that's 15 in a row losses for Mississippi State. I think that's 15 in a row.
That's such a brutal way to lose. What's up, guys?
Hey, what's up, Corey?
Hey, Corey, Vandy's at the top of the show now.
Yeah, you're at the top of the show. We got locked on Vandy in here. We'll come back to you, Corey, in a minute and get your thoughts. But no, wrapping up the Florida talk. Go ahead, Steven. You had a stat for us.
Oh, Mississippi State has lost 15 straight SEC games. Jeff Lebby still has not won an SEC game, and that might change next week when Texas comes into town. If the Kentucky game was any indication, but. Mississippi State just at this point doesn't know how to win games, and that includes players and coaches. Because in that situation right there, a confident team would just run the ball and kick the field goal. Period.
I got to say something real quick because I've got to go. I've got to go do some damage control. I just got word. Not kidding. I did make Laura Ingraham's Instagram story, and I've got to go see how bad this is. I've enjoyed my time with Locked On. I was 22.
You should have just shut up and dribbled.
And it was not my. I don't think it was my best night. All right, well, I've got to go find me another podcast that'll have me. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, best of luck.
Knowing you, Luke.
Oh boy,
we'll see you later.
Good luck, Luke.
That is hilarious that he ended up on
only
the
485,000 followers on Instagram. Not a lot.
It'll be fine.
Oh God! Oh, that's terrifying. So
what do you do?
You don't want to know. You don't. You just
got
we'll
handsy
move
with Laura Ingram. No big deal.
Yeah, we'll just
handsy and fun, but for both of them, I hope it was.
He
for
just
both
said
of them.
it's just all in good fun. It's cool. That's what they do down in Alabama. At least Luke.
It's just fun, but no. All right, let's go on to the next game. Let's talk Missouri Auburn, and then after we do our break, we'll talk about. We'll let Corey have fun talking about his win, but John, that was a good way of gutting it out. I got to say,
it Certainly gutted it out. It was not pretty for basically the entire game. I mean, Missouri was just stuck in a phone booth offensively. It felt like just everything was within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. And, that ballyhooed Missouri running game, give Auburn a ton of credit. Their front just destroyed Missouri's offensive line for most of the game in pass protection, too. And Bo Pribula was running for his life most of the time when he dropped back to pass. Had his moments, but also had his bad moments too. But man, I don't know who would have done all that great with that protection. Weirdly, a game that Missouri absolutely had to win, and they did win it, and yet I'm a little concerned coming out of it on a bunch of different levels. Now we got a really good Vanderbilt team, college game day in Nashville, Corey. I'd definitely be favoring Vanderbilt in this one. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I mean, game day is exciting. Coming to Nashville again, twice in one season. We're uncharted territory here, man. 6-1 since 1950, but it's going to be a good matchup. Ahmad Hardy's going to, obviously give us everything we want to handle. So, I mean, it's nothing that I'm just going to wholeheartedly just jump straight on Vanderbilt. I mean, I have kind of all year, but it's going to be a challenge no matter what.
So, one thing's interesting. Speaking of a team that doesn't know how to win a game, Auburn is just broken. I mean, that whole program is broken.
Yeah, they really are.
And I am thankful, by the way, that Auburn's getting some of their historic rivals, such as Florida, back even on a every other year type deal, because that game is going to be a whole lot of fun. But yeah, listen, Auburn fans, let me tell you something right now. Do not fire Hugh Freeze. Now, I'm not saying don't keep him. I'm saying don't fire him. Because if you hire him and a DJ Durkin figures out a way to win a couple of games, you have another Cadillac situation on your hands. And it gets weird on the plains. Let Hugh Freeze sit in this and fire him at the end of the season.
That's an interesting thought. That's an interesting thought. Should Hugh Freeze still maintain there after? I mean, in the eyes of the boosters, they're 5-2? So... because they don't count the Georgia loss or the Oklahoma one.
I will say this for Auburn. I made a lot this week, and Zach did too, about Damari Alston, the running back captain, leaving the team, getting kicked off the team, depending on who you believe. But all the players were coming out in support of him, and I thought, ooh, old Hugh has lost the locker room here. I'll tell you this, Auburn played really, really hard yesterday. Like, they wanted to win that game. So I'll give them that. Obviously, a great crowd, too. I mean, their fans deserve a little better. I'll say that.
It's brutal over there, man. Sorry, Jay. I didn't mean to cut you.
No, it's okay. No, they're definitely physically in pain as a fan base, and you kind of feel bad for them.
Nope.
No. I see everybody's with the
I'm in
the
Discord. I know what they're like. I'm good.
This is a zero-sum game in the SEC, buddy. I can't feel bad for the losers. They're going to be there eventually. You just don't want to be one of them.
That is a very fair point. Okay, well, we've got some other ones, some what's this? Looks like some ranked versus non-ranked to wrap it up. So let's talk about these last few games here on the squad edition of the reactions. And today's episode is brought to you by our partners at Quo. One of the tools that help make a huge difference for business owners is Quo, formerly Open Phone. It's the same great business phone system you've heard me talk about, before, just with a new name. And here's why it matters. Every missed call is money left on the table. When every customer conversation counts, you need a phone system that keeps you connected 24/7. Quo is the #1 business phone system that streamlines customer communications. It works right through an app on your phone or your computer. So no more carrying two phones or relying on a landline. Their built-in AI agent is a game changer. It can answer calls after hours for you, capture leads, and keep business moving even when you're off the clock. So why over 90,000 businesses trust Quo, formerly Open Phone. Get started free and you'll get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockedoncollege. That's QUO.com/lockedoncollege. If you got existing numbers with another service, Quo will port them over at no extra charge. No missed calls, no missed customers. And also, one of our partners here today, as everything gets moved around on me today, it's going to be Let's be honest, most of us can't even name all our financial systems, let alone what they're worth. Between 401ks, savings, and investments, it's easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch, an all-in-one personal financial tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. It's helped me organize a lot of my accounts just because financially I'm always all over the place. It helps me track my spending, especially with all the businesses that I'm working with. And it gets a better handle on all of my investments because, one day I want to retire. I probably won't, but, I would like to. So Monarch's visual dashboard and smart tools makes it so much easier to understand where my money is going and how to make it work hard for me. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Welcome again to the squad edition of Locked On SEC Squad. We got to wrap up with some of the games that, kind of not as important. I'll talk about first the Oklahoma-South Carolina game, the much-needed bounce back in this game. Sooners pull it off 26-7. John Mateer looks, okay, throws for 150 yards, but Oklahoma found something they've been missing most of the season, a run game. 19 carries for 101 yards for Torrey Blaylock with a touchdown, and Xavier Robinson run for 11 carries for 58 yards. But the defense is, of course, the story for this. Oklahoma now ranks as the number one defense in total defense, passing yards, rushing yards, and scoring defense so far this season in the SEC, and top 5 in all of those, if not number 1 in the country, which is terrifying because now them and Missouri are battling it out for who has given up the least amount of yards per game this season. I'm going to pass it around. Roundtable. What do y'all think about Oklahoma's performance against South Carolina? Was it the bounce back you thought you expected to get from them?
Kind of. I just look at them as like even the Texas game. I know that, wasn't ideal, but I feel like even in that game, it was like, I don't think Oklahoma necessarily crapped the bed entirely. I feel like a lot of it came down to John Mateer was not healthy and your offense was just completely shot down there. I think this was a nice little bounce back. But it's just this Oklahoma team is better overall than I thought they'd be this year. And so I'll give them credit for that. Right now I'm rescinding it after that smile. But I will say that they're better overall than I anticipated them being.
Oklahoma, you have John Mateer, like Brandon said, he was obviously not healthy against Texas. He's probably not healthy right now. He's still not what he was, but they're trying to just play enough complementary football so that defense can win games. I mean, that is what Oklahoma football is doing right now. If you can score 30 points on Oklahoma, which good luck doing that because that defense is really good. But if you can score, you can beat them. Because I do think there's a ceiling to this offense right now. Probably it's going to be that way until the Tennessee game or something like that when John Mateer gets 100% healthy again. But Oklahoma having the bounce back after Red River, that was a big step. And now, Jay, we get to be lifelong rivals this weekend coming up. I mean, 2 centuries of football games. Yeah, 2 centuries of football of these permanent rivals set up by the SEC. They're meeting in Norman, Oklahoma this weekend. So, yeah, it should be an interesting day.
Yeah, I think it's going to be intriguing. The fact that we get to become permanent opponents for the next 4 years is always a plus to see because we've been rivals for so long and we've played, 2 times in the last 2 centuries. So it's going to be great. I understood the weirdness behind it. It was like, let's just try something different. But at the same time, it would be nice to have people that are actually in a regional area of you. I think that makes it more fun when you have regional rivalries. But I digress. Yeah, I agree with you, Brandon, too. Like, I knew the defense was going to be good like last year. I just needed a mid to competent offense to help them elevate their numbers. So far, we're seeing that. Now, I'm really curious to see what it looks like because the gauntlet we were told was going to happen, a lot of those teams are not looking like the teams that we thought they were going to be. Now, the gauntlet truly does show up because Ole Miss this weekend, and you follow up with going to Knoxville, then you get a bye, then you go to Bama, go out to Tuscaloosa, then Missouri comes to town, and then LSU. I think the four in the middle, because I don't think LSU is actually that good. We're starting to see that now. The four in the middle is probably going to be a lot tougher, going to be some tough games. And so it's intriguing to see that. Like, I thought Lenore Sellers was going to be like the biggest issue for us this season. Everybody told us this. I did see him throw somebody though. He threw like a lineman that's 250 something pounds. He chunked him with one hand. That was impressive. But yeah, South Carolina has fallen apart. Are we on watch for Shane Beamer as well with everybody else?
Yes. I was just going to say, like, obviously on the Oklahoma side, the Mateer injury, one of the biggest stories and variables in college football. On the Gamecock side, I'm not saying they're going to fire Shane Beamer or anything. That would actually be insane on their part. But it does feel like, because of the circumstances with Virginia Tech's job being open, he's obviously Frank Beamer's son, the legendary coach at Virginia Tech. It just feels like he might jump ship here. That's the vibes I'm getting. It just watching every single week, he seems irritated at the questions, just like he's ready to find a life raft out of Columbia, South Carolina. That's just the vibes I'm getting. What do you guys think?
So I think first off, he's a loser. I'll say that.
I agree, actually.
If you're the only coach I've ever
all the time.
Yeah, if you're the only coach I've ever seen that's played against Billy Napier multiple times and you've lost every single one of those matchups, you're a loser. No other way to put it. Especially if you, broke his foot kicking a Gatorade container after one of the losses too. Yeah, you're a loser. One of Billy Napier's very few SEC road wins. You're a loser. But I don't know if he's actually going to take. Like, I don't know how much Virginia Tech interests him, because if I'm not mistaken, he's come out before and been like, I'm Frank's kid there. Like, I'm not my own man. Like, I'm Frank's kid there. I don't want to be there. Maybe that changes. Especially with, this season not going the way that they anticipated that it would go. I think a lot of people, especially after how they ended last year, they're like, oh, well, they're gonna be able to do this. Like, they were pushing, and then it's just not gone that way at all. Lenore Sellers didn't develop the way that and we see that all the time with these college quarterbacks. Like, I think that we see someone have an awesome like big year for dual threat or whatever you want to call a lot of these because I don't necessarily consider like DJ Lagway a dual threat. Really, he's not known for using his legs that much. But you see like a good year, a good first year as a starter from them, and then a lot of college football fans just go, "Oh, so he's going to be amazing next year." And so often that's just not how it works. In fact, you usually see a sophomore slump more often than not, because once there's film out there, and that's when you find out, okay, is this quarterback really that guy? With DJ Lagway, it was all right. The film's out there. They know you're looking for the deep shot. You don't have an underneath game. John Summerall of Tulane exposed that to everybody. Yeah. And every defense just said, okay, we're going to take away the deep ball and make DJ Lagway beat us underneath. He didn't take that developmental step. And now everyone goes, oh, he's awful. When that's really not the case. He hasn't developed at the rate that defenses have adjusted. I feel like Lenore Sellers, we've seen that as well. I feel like defenses have adjusted more for him, and he hasn't taken those steps. I would like to know what, I guess, percentage of the blame people really put on the player or the coach or the coaching staff, because there's so many. I think that's one of the things with development and teams using the portal. There are so many factors that go into whether or not a player develops at the rate that you want them to develop. That I think when you bank a lot of it on Lenore Sellers, who had the year he had last year, and then you go, okay, but this year he's going to be so much better and he's going to just carry this offense again. When that doesn't happen, it's like you're banking your entire success on one player. You're never going to pan out that way. That's especially a guy that's unproven. So I know this year hasn't gone according to plan. I do think that he'll be here at least through this year. But yeah, I don't know long-term what that's going to be like for Shane Beamer. I don't know if he's the kind of guy that I view as a long-term successful coach. Got a few good players at key positions, sure. But if they're not getting developed, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, they got a lot of 5-stars, man. They seem to always bring in a 5-star edge out of nowhere that just wrecks shop on everybody. I mean, it's one of the things that they're going to have. They're going to figure that portion of it out. But yeah, the team itself, John, that's why I asked it, and you were right. We're going to have questions on Shane Beamer because I know that last year that was the talk. Shane Beamer's going to be on the hot seat last season if they don't do something. They start 3-3, and then all of a sudden they rattle off 6 wins, in which one of those wins against LSU, we still got questions about with those pick sixes and how the refs kind of just botched that one. But now 3-4, and it does not feel like everything's rosy over there in that area. So we'll have to see kind of where it goes. Corey, we'll give you the mic for a minute. I want to hear about Vanderbilt. How did you feel about your Vanderbilt doors out there putting in work on LSU? The LSU fans here in the chat are not very happy, but I want to know what you think about that.
Yeah, they probably shouldn't be because it was one of those games where Vanderbilt was just in control the entire time. It didn't seem like anything LSU could do, they could get a stronghold on that control because all but one punt and the kneel down, Vanderbilt got points on every single drive, every single time they touched the ball, and they ran the clock. They ate up and chewed up clock. And it was one of those things where LSU didn't have any answers defensively. They couldn't stop Diego Pavia. The times that he ran around in the backfield and created, especially on that 4th and 2 that they converted, where the guy was in his face and had him dead to rights, and he just somehow shook out of it, flipped it over to the running back and converted. They ended up getting a touchdown on that drive, and that was the one that nudged them ahead for good. And it just didn't seem like they could really get control. And they got destroyed up front, yes. And their defense just got completely worked. A defense that we all considered elite. I knew it was going to be a challenge to get things going on their defense because they're so good in the secondary and they're so good up front. They're just great all around that they just didn't seem like they were very aggressive. It didn't feel like they had a good game plan or plan in general of how they wanted to stop Pavia, and they just really did what they wanted to do. And then Vanderbilt's defense gave up a few big plays, but for the most part, Nussmeier got hit time after time after time, and it wore down on him. And those tackles, man, it was a brutal performance for LSU's offensive tackles, man. It was not pretty for them. Brian Kelly was frustrated all day long. Barryon Brown was yelling at somebody on the sidelines. I mean, it was just it was just kind of disarray for LSU, and it just didn't look like – it looked like an unmitigated disaster on their sideline a little bit, and it just wasn't good. And Vanderbilt is finally good enough to take advantage of those things. In years past, they weren't, but now they are, and it's great.
Yeah, you look at it, Corey, is like how dependent is LSU's defense on Whit Weeks? You take him out, they look completely different. All of the aggression is gone.
And Pyburn was saying,
it's one of those things that, like I thought Whit Weeks was good. He's shown out, but I did not know that he was this important.
Yeah, I didn't realize that either. Like I thought they would be okay and they would just kind of maneuver around that. But good Lord, man, they look totally different. They were getting gashed up front against the run, which I was assured by all their fans that they wouldn't. And it was, it was a beautiful thing.
Yeah. LSU fans are great. LSU fans are great.
Yeah,
they are. They really are. They're LSU is burning, as a few people have decided to post in here. I've heard this numerous times.
Just want to throw that out there. They suck too. I'll make that abundantly clear.
Yeah,
LSU should be burning.
So
Brandon is consistent. I love it.
Screw them.
On my reaction title,
nice.
We lost Corey.
Andy's gone.
As he said the secrets of his title, but we'll come back to him on that title. But all right, 2 more games till we can wrap up in the day. I'm trying to decide which one first. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do this one. Texas A&M and Arkansas. That was a very electric game. Like, it was all offense, and I don't think the defenses knew how to play football again. Marcel Reed was fascinating on top of Taylor Green. Arkansas gets a new coach. You would think that usually means that they're going to, fire a coach. Usually everybody plays very well, and they come out there and ball. And the offense did. But overall, it was not they just could not close it at the end there. What y'all think about it? Give me the roundtable. How you feel about this game?
Texas A&M's weird. That's the biggest thing. They're just a weird team where it's like, yeah, Notre Dame will go. It was like 41-40 against Notre Dame. It was 45-42 against Arkansas. Then they'll just have games where it's like, yeah, by the way, we're the best defense you've ever seen, you've ever laid eyes on. We're just going to light people up. They're just a weird team. They're a damn good football team and very well coached. But they're just a weird team that I feel like every time I watch, I feel like they should have dusted Arkansas. I feel like they should have beat the crap out of Arkansas there. And I know that, you got Bobby Petrino's doing his fun stuff and he's putting up points. I just feel like Texas A&M should have beat the absolute crap out of that offense and didn't. And that makes me think, when Texas A&M faces another elite team, what that's going to look like. Because to this point, their SEC schedule has been what? Auburn? No. Mississippi State? Lost to Billy. Florida? Billy. Arkansas? Put up a ton of points always. LSU's not going to be a challenge.
Yeah,
Missouri's going to be an interesting one. But I'm just curious what Texas A&M is going to look like when they get, because their schedule actually ended up playing out pretty favorably. And so I don't know what they're going to look like until we get to really the very end of the season, when we're talking about them in the SEC title game, maybe when we're talking about college football playoff. That's going to be their true biggest test. And it's just tough to really gauge with it. They're beating up on bad teams, but they also just went into a shootout with a not good Arkansas team. Good Arkansas offense, but yeah, very, very just odd team.
One interesting take that I have going on right now is, if you said that Texas A&M, this is a weird football team, they're kind of living up to their brand. You want to talk about Texas A&M not knowing what they are? They kind of know what they are this year, and it might be a weird team, but that's a weird place. And if they can embrace it, they have a chance to be dangerous.
Yeah, Texas A&M, for a team that's probably going to be at least probably third in the country here when the AP poll comes out in a little bit here. And yet, boy, as good as that offense is, that defense, and that's Mike Elko's calling card, by the way, his defense is just not good enough. If it's to truly be a contender, 268 yards rushing Arkansas had yesterday. What do you think Missouri's going to do against them when they come to Columbia? That's just, simply put, Auburn was really good against that Missouri rushing attack. I don't see that happening with A&M, so that's just promising to be a wild shootout here in 2 or 3 weeks or so.
Yeah, A&M they got LSU next. They travel to Death Valley, and then Missouri. I think they do that. Is that after a bye? I think that's after a bye week. So they'll get a bye, and then they'll play Missouri. So that's going to make it even more interesting and whatnot. Like you said,
Mizzou has a bye that week as well. So yeah.
Oh, nice. So both of them get a bye. So that makes it, like you said, it's probably going to end up being a shootout as both teams prepare for the inevitable of A&M saying we got to stop the run because Missouri's really good at running, and then. But then Missouri's like, we're going to run all over them. That's exactly what we're going to do. So it's going to be a very interesting combination of the two. As Corey gets himself going, let's talk the last game here. Texas and Kentucky.
I've never been more proud of this show that we're closing with Texas, by the way. I'm so glad we didn't force the Cowboys/Lakers of the conference into the A. Sorry, go ahead. I'm so proud of course. EJ. Good job. Good job.
If I'm hosting, we're going to definitely do this every time. Unless exactly, because we're going to hate. We're going to put the hating out there. But no, for real. 16-13 win in overtime. Kentucky, for some reason, didn't take points when they had the opportunity to. Ooh. Not sure why you don't take the three. And, why you get a little too greedy. And honestly, that truly makes me think about even the South Carolina game, as we always talk about, Beamer ball or whatnot. There was a couple opportunities where South Carolina could have just either taken the money or got themselves out of a hole, but they decided to go for it on fourth down. It's like, but why? Why would you do that to yourself? Well, they decided that it's okay to do, and they end up in situations where it's not optimal. But Kentucky had a field goal they could have taken, was that in overtime, and they just like, nah, we're good. We're going to go ahead and we're going to let our defense win this game for us. And it's like, your defense did do it. Your defense helped them to 4 plays, -2 yards. And they kicked the field goal to win the game. Like, dude, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Honestly, my biggest takeaway from this is Texas is just not very good. I mean, they're not even a top 25 team to me right now. Is that a crazy thought?
No, not really.
No, it's not. I mean, that was a brutal game for them. I mean, on the road, they had a chance to prove a lot of doubters wrong, and they just didn't.
If you look at their schedule, I mean, they have A&M still left to go. They have Georgia on the road still left to go. So that's 4 losses potentially. Who else? They have Vanderbilt. That's not a gimme at all.
Might be another one.
Vanderbilt should be favored in that game.
No, it ain't.
Yeah. I mean, this could be a 6-6 Texas team that's about to go to the Liberty Bowl. That's what I'm talking about.
So, according to that one guy in the comments preseason, when I said my bold take was Texas wouldn't make the playoff, he said he told me I should bet if Texas makes the playoff, I should quit Locked On Vandy. Doesn't look like I'm going to be quitting Locked On Vandy.
I love that level of that pettiness there.
You never know. Texas could win out. You
Yeah.
never know. They could just figure it all out.
Technically, they could. I just don't see
technically
it.
they could.
But
Technically, they could. Technically, I'm going to hit a parlay and make $1 billion right now.
Exactly,
It ain't
yeah.
happening either
Exactly.
way. Like, that's a delusional fan base that came in thinking that they were the hottest stuff in the SEC. Absolute losers.
Like, I mean, we got to remember this Kentucky team went out to South Carolina and lost like 35-13, lost at Athens 35-14, had a bye week in prep for Texas, and then they only lose by a field goal in overtime. Look, I guess the biggest thing for me is I know that the hype of Arch Manning was definitely thrown out there all year long. It's been the thing, the talk of the town, and he looked really bad in that game. At one point, he had missed 7 of like 8 passes. It was bad.
And
Now, granted, his wide receivers didn't help. Yeah, but it looked bad.
When he's throwing up hospital balls, of course they're not helping. You know,
That too.
he was an unbelievably inaccurate quarterback. The scary thing for Texas, and just sit back, whether you're on Orange Bloods or Inside Texas, whatever site is your go-to for Texas, just remember this. You went to Kentucky and got schooled on offensive football by Mark Stoops. That is all you need to know.
By Mark Stoops. Like, look, like the statistical breakdown of this game is still, I like my brain can't even like process it. 26 first downs for Kentucky. Texas had 8. Kentucky had 395 yards of total offense. Texas had 179. Wow. 131 rushing yards for Kentucky. Texas had 47. 258 passing yards for Kentucky. Texas had 132. 12 for 27 versus 31 for 40. Cutter Boley was eating the defense alive. And just mainly because Kentucky being Kentucky can't close things, this game did not feel like it should have been even this close.
Yeah.
I guess credit to Texas's defense.
Yeah, we're still having to hear Texas is back because Kentucky didn't kick a field goal in overtime.
Can you imagine having a guy
my
who's
gosh,
the
that was
greatest
brutal.
quarterback in the country, and then he gets outplayed by Cutter Boley?
Cutter Boley, dog. That was
Hopefully
Stinky.
Texas is back to 2017. That's what I'm hoping.
Where they belong.
Exactly.
I mean, it could very well be that.
Yeah. And the Stoops
All right,
hate
guys.
of
I gotta go watch the
Texas is never
Chiefs
over.
game. It's been real. See you
Same,
later.
yeah. Y'all enjoy yourselves. Thank y'all for joining us for the squad show. We're gonna wrap this up, get everybody out of here, and we will see you all, on Thursday as we prepare for week 9 of SEC play. For Brandon, Steven, Corey, John, and Luke, I'm Jay Smith with Locked On Sooners. We will see you all later on.
Anchor down. College game day twice in a row. Twice in one season, I should